I'd say less than 5% of floaters at all levels are with that weak hand. So here's my thought. For most of us, not all of us, adding that lefty floater to our skill set takes a lot of time and effort. And I believe that almost regardless of the situation, we can get that strong hand floater off without being blocked. So the time theoretically spent on developing weak hand floaters could be spent on other stuff that's more valuable. But you've got to know how to shoot these strong hand floaters so that they never get blocked. Now it's much easier to shoot these floaters towards the strong hand, that's obvious. But let's say you're dribbling towards your weak hand, or in this case the left hand, and your defender is on that right side. We've got to be creative here to shoot it comfortably with that right hand. So the first technique is what I call a bump and fade. This begins with creating contact with that shoulder, which generally will effectively put the defender on their heels. From there, you have a bit more of a window to get that shot up. Now, especially if you fade, you're going to have some space. But note that all these guys' fades are controlled. Nothing crazy, just to jump slightly away from the defender to free that right hand floater up. And even if you don't initiate that bump first, that fade is very valuable. Many times it's all you need to get that floater up quickly. Number 2, be unpredictable. The goal is to have that ball in the air by the time they even get off the ground. And the most fundamental way of doing this is to be intentional with your eyes to not telegraph. Notice how these guys are still looking downhill until that last moment before the floater. Locking in on the rim early essentially tells your defender that you're likely about to shoot, making it a bit tougher to get it off because they'll be prepared for that floater. And D Rose takes it a step further here by deliberately looking away before getting into that hop for the floater. Another way to be unpredictable is use that same foot. Trey goes off that right foot because as a defender, you're expecting one more step, so it's hard to contest that. I've talked about it a lot in the past, how getting defenders' hips turned is the key to successfully getting off pull-ups, and the same thing goes for floaters. Watch the defender's hips as Trey gets moving downhill. He turns into a sprint, so when he puts up that floater, it's a bit harder to be in a position to contest. And the key here is getting slightly past that defender, so they have to turn into that sprint. Next, we want to limit the amount of time that the ball is in our hand. On these contested floaters, you shouldn't be holding the ball too long in that palm. Get it out quickly, and doing this generally means not fully extending the elbow. Plus, the quicker you can get the ball from the floor, into the hand, into the floater, the better. And that takes ball control to shave off those milliseconds. It's also much quicker to get into that floater if you don't fully decelerate, which is why you see CJ and these other players continue to jump forward as they release the shot. But sometimes you can do essentially the opposite and make it a bit more of a runner, where you hang in the air a little bit longer to create more separation, and you get a bit more control to contort your body and remain stable. Notice that on these, there's got to be a bit more separation on that fade backwards, or you can just shoot it from further away. Now other times, stopping with 2 feet before you feel yourself getting into a very congested area is a simple way to find an easier shot. Trey could keep driving here and potentially shoot a lefty floater, but he doesn't. He stops early with 2 feet and floats it up. Finally, just being conscious of getting into floaters with your strong hand that you're more comfortable with can make a huge difference. Look how deliberately these guys try to get to that right hand, so they'll be able to put that floater up more comfortably.
And play, I mean, it grew the game.
But definitely understand that all of this takes practice, a lot of it. Not just the touch of being able to make these falling away or whatever the situation may be, but all the details that make them work. Now go get to work. Stay tuned for even more on this.